I'm Krizz and welcome back to my YouTube channel. We are back with more reaction videos and today we're going to be reacting to another one from Geography Now. As you guys know, recently I just reacted to Geography Now of Malaysia. It was pretty accurate, missed out some points, it could be better, but maybe that's because I've been living here for quite some time. But yes, we are back with more Geography Now, but this time we'll be checking out his survey and all his research of Philippines, if they are accurate or not. Most of you may already know I am a Filipino. I am originally from the Philippines, but I've been living here in Malaysia for the longest time, and I just can't wait what he has to say in his video. So let's check it, shall we? In 1, 2, 3, play.
If you don't know anything about Asia, the Philippines is like the jolliest of them all. They're just
jolliest?
happy, fun, jolly
that's
people.
That's kind of true.
And you know what? It's been 3 years. I'm not taking this anymore. I've been pushed around, I've been threatened, I've been thrown in the dungeon, I've been the butt of all the jokes. I'm the Filipino one. This is my time.
My time!
Ah!
Jolliest.
Welcome to the Philippines. My turn.
Okay.
It's time to
They're pretty jolly people, that's for sure.
Hey everyone, I'm Ken, and as you know, I'm half Filipino. Years ago, I was looking for a job and I saw this ad asking for a motion graphics animator on Craigslist. Paul and I literally met up at a Jollibee for
Jollibee!
He said I was his top 3 candidates.
In reality, there were only 3 candidates that applied, so technically I didn't lie, but yeah, the other 2 people kind of sucked, so.
Oh, and back then, I had this weird mustache and Paul's hair was basically this thing.
Ken and I have been talking for a long time, and we agreed Ken definitely has to be in this episode. You've come so far from that Craigslist Jollibee interview, you've earned this.
Thanks. Handa na? Magsimula.
Well, he's a little slang
The
in his
Philippines is an
Tagalog, but
interesting
okay.
country because there's sort of a dichotomy between labels. If you ask a Filipino if they consider themselves Asian or Pacific Islanders, you might get contrasting answers.
What do you consider yourself, Ken?
I always thought Pacific Islanders sounded kind of cool, so I usually stuck with that. So first of all,
The Philippines is a tropical archipelago of over 7,000 islands,
Yep.
about 2,000 of which are inhabited, and it is the
Yep.
largest island nation without any land borders or shared island territory with another nation.
the country is located in Southeast Asia, straddling the Philippine Sea in the north, the South China Sea in the west, and the Sulu and Celebes Sea in the south.
Just a skip away lies the island of Borneo, which is split amongst 3 nations, at the closest point only about 22 miles or 40 kilometers away from the nearest island that belongs to the Philippines.
Now in general, many people will refer to one of the 3 main island cluster regions that people are a part of. There are Luzon in the north, where you can find the capital Manila and where the half of the population lives, Visaya in the center, and Mindanao in the
I'm
south.
from the
Otherwise, the nation is
Visayas.
made up of 17 regions, one of which is autonomous, the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao. This place has a high level of self-rule and autonomy appointed by the government. We'll explain more about this later.
If you want to be absolutely technical, Quezon City, a bit north of Manila, is the largest city in the Philippines. However,
Yeah.
the surrounding 16 towns and cities by Manila are called Manila Metro, or the National Capital Region, and they basically act as one unit.
Otherwise, the largest city outside of the NCR are Davao City in Mindanao.
Which
and
that's where
Cebu
my
in the
dad is
Visayas.
from.
Manila has the largest and busiest airport, Ninoy Aquino International Airport,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is basically the hub that services the entire NCR. They also have the busiest shipping port at the Port of Manila.
Otherwise, the second largest airport is Cebu Mactan International, and rounding out for third place is Davao City Francisco Bangoy International.
In terms
Yep.
of land transport, though, the Philippines is well connected amongst the islands. In fact, the longest highway is the Pan-Philippine Highway that stretches about 3,500 kilometers
Oh, I didn't
across the
know that
country
one.
and connects Luzon, Samar, Liet, and Mindanao with underground tunnels connecting them.
Finally, the Philippines has only 2
Underground?
territorial disputes. The state of Sabah in Malaysia on North Borneo. The territory
Sabah.
once had been part of the Sultanate of Sulu, a Muslim state that existed the 15th century to the 20th century, and that's a whole other story.
As for the others dispute, as we mentioned quite a few times already, this whole area known as the Spratly Islands is a complete mess. If you don't know anything about this
They
place,
mentioned this
it
in the
basically goes
Malaysia
like this.
version as well.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. This is the map showing what everyone claims in the area. This big one right here is China's. Like, yeah, they just kind of pretty much went for all of it.
This has even led to a few skirmishes between nations that have built patrol stations on the island. And when they spot a ship that gets too close, things can get kind of ugly.
It's kind of like this.
Hey, what are you doing? This is my area.
I'm just doing some fishing and research here, you know?
Why do you have a shovel then? Are you building something? Or?
Well, technically there's no land protruding from this reef, so there's no land claim.
So you're just gonna build your own land.
For research.
Anyway, here are some notable spots of interest.
Fort Santiago,
Magellan's Cross,
San Agustin Church,
Sagada Hanging Coffins,
Aguinaldo
Ooh, I didn't know
Shrine,
Cebu's
that.
Philippine Taoist Temple,
Shrine of Mama Mary in Tagaytay,
the Lapu-Lapu Shrine,
Okay.
Luneta Park,
MacArthur Landing Site,
Bunawi Rice Terraces.
Oh, yes.
Malacanang Palace,
I've
Bicon
been
has
there.
many historical and colonial buildings.
the various national museums
Oh,
of
yes.
history and arts.
Very interesting. I
tons of
must visit
amusement
that
parks.
one.
And that's not even including all the natural wonders of the Philippines. They have an underground river.
Oh,
The
I've
most
never been
amazing,
there.
beautiful
Baraka
beaches
is
in the
near my
universe.
city.
Hills that look like lumps of chocolate.
And there's an island in a lake, in an island, in a lake,
Oh
in an
yeah,
island.
this one's the amazing
Hang
part.
out sometime.
Yeah, when you have 7,000 tropical islands on a volcanic archipelago, chances are things can get pretty crazy landscape-wise. Which brings us to... The actual physical land of the Philippines is the biggest treasure you will find here for sure. Anyway, the Philippines lies on the Ring of Fire and is specifically on a tectonic plate named after them, the Philippine Plate.
And about 95% of the land is made up of the 11 largest islands.
The country was essentially formed through the tectonic activity between the Philippine, Manila, and the Mindanao Trenches, the Mindanao being the second deepest in the world.
This makes the country susceptible to small earthquakes and minor volcanic activity.
About 53 active volcanoes can be found in all of these largest islands, except for
Yeah.
Palawan. The most famous and picturesque of these include these three.
See this island here, Camiguin? It actually has more volcanoes than towns on it. 7 versus 5,
Wow.
making it the place with the most number of volcanoes per square kilometer in the world.
In fact, the tallest peak in the Philippines is a potentially active volcano, Mount Apo, located in the
Mount
South Mindanao
Apo.
area.
The country has numerous mountain ranges and highlands that dip into the fertile valleys, the largest range being the Cordillera Range in the North Luzon area, hooking into the Sierra Madre Range on the east side, which feeds the longest river of the country, the Cagayan, that flows into the Cagayan Valley.
This valley,
The way
along
they
with the Central
pronounce
Luzon
the
Valley,
words.
are the largest arable croplands and produce nearly all of the rice in the Philippines.
The Visayas are known for growing the most sugarcane, whereas Mindanao
Oh, yeah.
specializes heavy in coconut and fruit production.
Back in Luzon,
Especially
you can find
Negros.
the largest lake in the country, Lake Laguna de Bay, which is actually in the caldera of a dormant volcano.
The lake has a weird detached island called Talim and is actually drained by the Pasig River that flows through the capital, Manila.
And finally, the country is the heart of typhoon territory. They can come
Oh,
at
yeah,
almost any time
every
of the year.
season,
the nation will
anytime.
experience on
It can
average
come
about 20
anytime.
of the turbulent storms annually, which often flood to their many river systems.
We're starting to run out
Yeah,
of names
if
for
anything,
the typhoons.
Filipinos are the most cyclone-adapted people on Earth. They're used
Oh,
to
yeah.
it. The water has always been kind of their thing. Swimming, sailing, fishing.
Just not exactly quite diving into it.
Otherwise, the Philippines is one of the 17 mega-diverse nations on Earth.
They actually have the largest level of marine biodiversity in the world within their waters and the highest rate
Whoa.
of animal discovery on the planet, with 16 new mammal species that were discovered in the past decade
Whoa,
alone.
They have
yay.
everything
The longest snake in the world, the reticulated python.
The largest fish in the world, whale sharks.
7 of the
Ooh,
8
I didn't know they were
species
in
of
the
giant clam are
Philippines.
found in the Philippines.
The
Oh,
world's
that one,
smallest
yes.
hoofed animal, the Philippine mouse deer.
And their national bird is the largest eagle in the world.
Economically speaking, the Philippines is considered a newly industrialized nation. It is transitioning out of becoming an agricultural-based system to a service and manufacturing-based one. They have
Yeah.
like 3 of the top 10 largest malls on Earth.
Ooh, just you wait. I'm taking the top spot soon.
They're one of the
You're
fastest
on.
growing economies in Asia, and as the 34th largest economy in the world, their GDP purchasing power parity has surpassed the $2 trillion mark.
Basically, the Philippines is definitely becoming a key power player in the world stage. It's like,
We're so rich!
someday. For what it's worth though,
Yeah.
mining, fishing, and agriculture are strong industries as well. They are currently the world's largest nickel and abaca or Manila hemp producers,
Abaca.
and the second largest coconut producer after Indonesia.
Tourism, though, is another
What about
important
bananas and pineapples?
about 8% of their GDP, employing over 3 million people.
And now, food! Now in the Philippines,
Oh,
every region has
I'm
their
gonna
own
get hungry
specialty
again.
and culinary strange.
Yeah, every dish looks like a fairy exploded.
Lots of dishes you can
A
eat
fairy
with eyes
exploded.
high or eat with your hands.
Yeah, pretty much
Yeah.
everything has rice, and then you're gonna get a lot of grease and salt and vinegar and a lot of like, I don't care if that looks like it goes there or not, I'm still gonna eat it anyway. Right, Ken?
Yeah, that's Filipino food.
Yeah.
There's really no official national dish, but 3 meals that are well known for are adobo, lumpia,
Yeah.
and sinigang.
And in the
Yeah.
non-Muslim parts, lechon is a huge deal.
There are also dishes like
Tagalog steak,
tinola,
pansit luglug,
kare-kare,
I'm hungry.
tapsilog,
balut,
kinilaw,
and my favorite Filipino dish, palabok.
Jollibee.
Lemon juice on it. I actually got this at Jollibee. If you don't know what Jollibee is, it's like the most popular fast food chain in the Philippines. It's like if McDonald's and KFC adopted a Filipino baby, and they even added spaghetti to their menu for some reason.
Otherwise, Filipinos are dessert experts. They love their ube everything,
Oh.
ube ice cream, ube bread, ube pie,
Ube.
ube cakes.
Oh, they also have like sapin, and cassava cakes. Those are the best desserts in my opinion. opinion.
They also have halo-halo, leche flan, turon, bukok, pandan, and puto.
Buko
What you
pandan.
call me? If you're either Latin American or Spanish, you may notice some of those foods are also found in Latin cuisines. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah, we'll explain that in...
Demographics.
Now, only in the Philippines can you find people that have Spanish names, speak English, celebrate in Austronesian
yeah.
culture, and cook Chinese.
General
Yeah.
MacArthur once said, "Give me 1,000 Filipino soldiers and I will conquer the world."
Yeah, for some reason, Filipinos are like the best friends of Asia. Filipinos still have the best attitudes and smiles. They even give time off felony sentences if the prisoners
yeah.
volunteer to take part in a Michael Jackson dance performance to the public.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. First, the graph. The country has about 110 million people and is the 8th most populated
overpopulated.
country in Asia and the 12th most populated country in the world.
There are about 175 ethno-linguistic people groups in the Philippines, the majority of
yes.
whose languages are Austronesian.
Of these groups, the largest ones are the Tagalog at about 28%, 13% are Cebuano, 9% are Ilocano, and 8% are Bisaya. The rest are made up of other groups plus a small minority of non-native citizens, mostly Asians and Americans.
It's important to note, though, that the Philippines has about 10.2 million people overseas worldwide. It is one of the largest diaspora populations, spanning over 100 countries. The US alone has about 4 million.
I mean, they were at one point
Really?
colonized by the
There's
US.
4 million Filipinos in the
They use the Filipino
US?
peso as their currency, they use the types A, B, and C plug outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road.
They
Oh,
even
and keep
included
in mind,
that.
the word Pinoy is synonymous with something that is Filipino. You might see that used a lot.
Now back to the ethnic groups.
Yeah.
Then. Since there are over 175 of them, you would think, how do they all communicate?
Well, the Philippines has two official languages. English, which makes them the 5th most English-speaking nation on earth, and Filipino, which is the standardized version of Tagalog. The Philippine Tagalog language spoken today is a very different from pure Tagalog. It actually
Oh,
has
yes,
about
definitely.
14% Spanish, 10%
It's
Malay,
less
and
formal.
7% English mixed into it with a slew of other borrowed loanwords. You can see the influence in words like pintelador, guapo, zapatos, and pamilya. Often, Filipinos will substitute an F with a P.
Or a V with a V.
Or a V with a P.
Yeah, same with Koreans, actually. Yeah. High five with minimal consonants.
Yay!
Oh, and fun fact, Ken taught me this. In Tagalog, you can actually say an entire conversation just using the syllable ba. For example,
Ba, ba ba, ba ba, ba ba ba, ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba, ba ba,
ba, ba 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 ba.
ba ba ba.
Well, that was fun. Otherwise, in the Visayas and Mindanao area, Cebuano is a common language.
That's
as well
true,
as
though.
other
It's a common
regional tongues
Filipino
like
joke.
Waray and Daboeno.
They even have the only Spanish
Nabawenyo.
in Asia, Chavacano, located
Chavacano.
in Zamboanga City.
Yeah.
Now, the Philippines is
Not
unique in that
Zamboanga,
over the past few
Zamboanga.
centuries, they've gone through 3 periods that shape
Okay,
their
that one they
identity.
got it
Before
wrong.
European intervention, the Philippines has had a multitude of early civilizations that built kingdoms and dynasties like the Tondo, the Namayan, the Pangasinan, and the Sulu Sultanate.
Many of these kingdoms had their own indigenous writing system, such as the Babayan, Buhid, Eskayan, and Kulitan.
Genetically, Filipinos are classified as belonging to the broader Austronesian people group, with their closest cousins being the Micronesians, like the Mariana Islanders, Guam, and Palau.
Although over the years, many people have mixed, and today it is speculated that somewhere around 1/5 or more of the population may have some kind of Chinese ancestry. After the Spanish
yeah,
came in,
definitely.
they adopted many
My
of the
grandfathers
customs,
have
traditions, and
Chinese.
cultural traits which have Spanish roots. Their own countries named after Spanish King Philip. The biggest trait, though, would be the fact that they are predominantly Catholic, at about 81% of the population adhering to the faith.
The rest are mostly Protestant, with a small Muslim minority in the South Mindanao area.
The
Yeah.
Philippines is the largest Christian nation in Asia, 5th largest Christian nation on earth, and 3rd largest Catholic nation after Brazil and Mexico.
They have so many holidays and festivals devoted to Catholic themes, like All Saints' Day, Holy Week, and Easter, and of course, the largest one, Christmas.
The Philippines has the longest Christmas
Why
season
they
out of
spell
anywhere else on
the
earth.
Christmas
now we're just gonna
Christmas?
rapid fire a list of
What's wrong
12 fun
spelling?
cultural facts for the Philippines.
Filipinos have a ton of superstitions. For example, whistling at night will turn you into a werewolf.
For formal occasions, you may see Filipinos wearing traditional barongs for men and Maria Clara or mestiza dresses for
Maria
women.
Clara.
There are many other traditional costumes and customs for the other 170 ethnic groups. Too many to cover, but it goes everywhere from feathers, coconut fibers, hair dresses, tribal
Yeah,
tattoos,
there's so many
and so
ethnic
on.
groups.
Speaking of which, the Philippines dominates major international beauty pageants with a grand total of 15 victories at the Miss Universe, Miss World, Miss International, and Miss Earth competitions.
Basketball
Yeah.
and boxing are the most popular sport by far. They have the oldest basketball league in Asia and the 2nd oldest in the world after the United States. And come on, we all know Pacquiao.
The Philippines is the leading nation
Manny
to
Pacquiao.
train and export nurses abroad. It's been said at
Yeah.
one point, every Filipino has their should I just drop everything and become a nurse moment in their life crisis.
That's a fact.
That's true.
I've had those. And the word balikbayan means returner or returning family. It is used when someone comes back from expat work abroad.
You might hear the honorific title of po or opo for elders.
Yes, to
and a
show
lot of people
respect.
often raise the backs of the hands of their elders to their forehead as a sign of respect and say bless.
In the Philippines, you have your name and you have your Pinoy nickname, and they get really weird and creative. Pepsi, Bing Bong, Jelly Boy, Pinky, Bum Bum, and Earl.
Every Filipino on every island in every region can tell you Filipinos are obsessed with karaoke. The first karaoke machine was actually patented
Everyone
by
sings
a Filipino,
in Philippines.
Roberto del Rosario,
Whether you're good
even though
or
some Japanese dude
bad in
invented it, but
singing,
he
you're a
patented
singer
it.
in
Obviously,
Philippines.
that means music is a big deal in the Philippines.
Yeah,
Besides taking modern
definitely.
cues from American pop, they also have
And
traditional
theater.
style. Instruments include things like gudyapi, kilitang, gimbal, kubing, and togali.
In addition, there are many different styles of dance, but the most famous one considered the national dance
Is
tinikling,
tinikling.
a dance done between two pairs of perpendicular bamboo poles that are clapped together
Oh,
as
yeah.
percussion tools, and the dancers
Scary.
must weave their feet in and out in the spaces before getting hit or tripped.
Now, on a bit of a more objective note, we do have to talk about some of the controversies.
The Philippines is beautiful, but if you've been keeping up with current events, they do have their fair share of issues that have made headlines. We don't sugarcoat
True.
anything here.
Human trafficking, whether in the sex industry, slavery, or organ
Oh,
smuggling,
yeah.
has been a problem
That's
in
the
certain
sad
areas.
part.
And even though anti-trafficking acts have been passed by the government, enforcement has not always been on par.
The drug trade has also been a major inconvenience for decades, affecting millions of people in the country.
We're just
This
too
has led to the new
overpopulated,
controversial
you
laws
guys.
instituted by President Duarte, which encouraged the public to
No,
seek
Duarte.
bounty in exchange for hunting
Duterte.
down drug pushers. Many
Oh
have
my
died in the
gosh.
process.
And finally,
So
we
many
have the
names
Moro
wrong.
conflict, an insurgency in the predominantly Muslim Mindanao region, which sought to take
Yeah.
parts of eastern Malaysia and break away through conflict. The fight has been going on for nearly half a century, and now it's just ending at the turn of the 21st century.
Yeah, kind of.
For what it's worth, though, in the Philippines, everyone is family at the end. You don't have to be related to anyone to call someone ate or kuya. There's even a
Yeah.
word, bayanihan, which means something like helping one another through community spirit without expecting anything in return. In any case, we gotta finish off this segment with history.
Austronesians.
Tribal kingdoms and sultanates.
This guy came to the islands.
Catholicism
Magellan.
comes in.
Lapu-Lapu and Magellan dies in battle.
5 Spanish dudes followed through.
They finally become a colony of Spain.
The galleon trade.
British Philippines.
And then back to Spain. The Treaty of Paris.
Philippine Revolution.
The Spanish-American War.
First Philippine Republic. Philippine-American War.
American occupation.
World War II, Japan invades.
American pushes them back.
Finally, Philippine independence.
Ferdinand Marcos turns from president to dictator.
Martial law.
This guy gets killed because he was against the regime.
People Power Revolution in 1986.
Growth from agricultural society to an industrial one.
And here we are today. And now we finish off with the notable famous people
That's a lot of
condensed.
information
Some
about
famous people you
Philippines,
guys, the
more than
Pinoy
I could
geography
ever know.
suggested we mentioned in this episode include
Lapu-Lapu.
Jose Rizal, these two saints,
Melchora Aquino.
Manuel L. Quezon,
Lacan Dula. Josefa Yanes Escoda. And Vicente Lim.
Carlos Peña Romulo.
And all the Miss Universe winners. And there's a ton of Americans with Filipino or partial Filipino descent.
Yeah, you can see there's lots of American Filipinos. Those two get along pretty tight.
We'll explain more on how that happened in...
Friendzone.
Because of the long history in the Philippines being colonized by 2 major Western powerhouses, it would make sense that it would have ties with the outside world in many different ways.
For friends, the Philippines is generally close with all the ASEAN nations and
Oh,
does great
yes.
business with them, particularly Indonesia and Malaysia, their closest neighbors.
The Marshall Islands, Palau, and the federal states of Micronesia are all cousin countries, many of which have Filipino migrants in them. And they all share the same history of being former US territories and US influenced states.
Oh,
Of course,
I
Spain
didn't
will
know
always
that.
be in the back of their minds as the former colonizer that they gained much influence from. Although Filipinos are not considered Latino, the Spanish and many Latin Americans kind of see them as like the adopted Asians that totally fit in their family. It's like, come on, you're Catholic, you eat flan, every 5th word you speak is Spanish, you're basically one of us.
Interestingly enough, the relationship with Mexico has historically been always strong. The Philippines was ruled under a Mexico-based viceroyalty of New Spain. The Manila galleons were Spanish trading ships, which for 2.5 centuries linked the Philippines with Mexico across the Pacific Ocean, making 1 or 2 round-trip voyages per year between the ports of Acapulco and Manila. And Mexican traditions were brought in like the Day of the Dead and Champurrado.
When it comes to their best friends, however, most
Champurrado, my
Filipinos would
favorite.
probably say, even though colonial years were a little bit bumpy, ultimately the USA and South Korea.
South Korea was one of their closest best friends from the 20th century on. World War II really bonded with them after the Japanese occupation years, and they supported each other diplomatically.
Koreans are the top #1 tourist demographic that visit the Philippines. Koreans kind of
Yeah,
admire the
we have
fact
a lot
that
of
even though
Koreans
they
in
were both
Philippines.
influenced by the US, Filipinos speak better English, whereas Filipinos practically obsess over Korean products and media.
Us.
Yeah, they're good
That's
friends.
why we're
For the USA, ties were close ever since they became their colony in 1898. The US also had the largest number of overseas Filipinos at over 4 million, most of whom live on the West Coast states like Hawaii and California. They are one of the oldest Asian partners of the US. They have a mutual defense treaty, and they are the largest export partner and second
Mutual
largest
defense
import
treaty.
after China.
Nice.
American pop culture dominates much of the youth influence. Hollywood studios love filming there, and Gallup polls have shown that the USA is favored on average by over 90% of the people asked, making it one of the most pro-American countries on the planet. And Ken, you take the conclusion.
In conclusion, if you enter a room full of Asians, you definitely know who the Filipinos are. While everyone's so uptight, we're the ones singing karaoke and somersaulting. You could just feel the energy of a
That's so
Filipino.
true.
There's a touch of Latin flavor with American pop undertones. But in the end, no matter what island, you're immediately considered part of the Pinoy family.
Ken, you're one of my best friends. I love you, man. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks. Stay tuned.
Aw,
Poland
that's so sweet.
is coming up next.
Wow, thank you so much, Geography Now, for including Philippines in your videos as well and in your research. And thank you so much for educating the rest of the world about Philippines. Although there are some points missing and some pronunciations that could have been better, but I don't blame you guys because, well, it has to be a Filipino accent to get those as well. But sorry. But the thing is, I also learned a lot of things from this segment that I never knew about Filipinos and its history. So it's not only educating other nationalities, other races about our country, but it's also educating me, who is also a Filipino, because I did grow up here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So it is very educating to me, and this is really helpful to teach and educate me more about my own country, my own people, and culture. So anyway, thank you guys so much for including Philippines in your segment. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video like I did. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave some more suggestions and comments and things that you want me to react to in the comment section down below. And if you want to see more from me, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. But that's it for now. Toodles! Bye!